Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, December 18th, 2015. If you want to follow us on Twitter, please go to CATEX TV. Well, it's been a couple of months of bad news for Zurich Insurance, beginning with their aborted effort to acquire Royal Sun Alliance, following by the losses of the port of Tianjin in China. But it seems as if they are on the upswing now. They've agreed to purchase Wells Fargo's crop business for an estimated purchase price of between $675 million and slightly over $1 billion. The final price will depend on what the closing price of the stock is when the deal is settled. Zurich said it would buy Wells Fargo's Rural Community Insurance Services unit. Wells Fargo crop business wrote about $2.1 billion of gross premiums in 2014, making it the largest United States multi-peril crop insurer with a 20% share of the market. Zurich is very familiar with this book of business. They currently assume about 25% of the Wells Fargo units retain premiums through a quota share contract. Swiss Re is out with their year-end Sigma natural and man-made disaster summary for 2015. Natural and man-made disasters caused about $85 billion of economic losses for the year. $32 billion of that were insured losses. Swiss Re says that the explosions at the port of Tianjin in China are expected to lead the year's biggest insured loss. And Swiss Re said it was the largest man-made insured loss ever in Asia. In total, about 26,000 people lost their lives in disaster events, double the amount of last year. In 2015, total economic losses are expected to reach $85 billion, down from $113 billion in 2014. So that's an improvement at least. The biggest event in the United States was the February winter snowstorm, resulting in insured losses of more than $2 billion. Not to be outdone, the hurricane season, which doesn't begin, thankfully, for many more months, is in the news. A modeling company called Tropical Storm Risk has predicted a below normal 2016 Atlantic hurricane season, with just 2 major hurricanes of Category 3 and above expected next year. They also said there's going to be 13 named storms and 5 complete hurricanes during next year's season. How anybody can predict this far in advance is beyond me. The modeler added a note of caution saying that there are large uncertainties due to the extended lead time of coming out with this prognosis, and they're going to come out with their forecast update that they're going to stick to in April of next year. There's another smog alert in Beijing. China has warned the residents of large parts in the northern part of the country to prepare for choking smog over the weekend. The worst of it is going to hit Beijing beginning Sunday night, prompting the capital to issue its second ever red alert. The administration in China said that the worst weather condition will be seen in some parts of southern Beijing and central southern Hebei. They said Beijing, central western Tianjin, Hebei, western Shandong, and southern Shanxi will get heavy air pollution. The air pollution is expected to begin rolling in from the north Saturday evening and will last until Tuesday. During the warning period, the Beijing residents are advised to stay inside and schools are advised to close. Vehicle restrictions are put in place based on license plate numbers, and 30% of government-owned cars, which are not subject to the restrictions, are taken off the road. Nigerian farmers will have the chance to sue oil multinational company Royal Dutch Shell in a Dutch court for pollution that the farmers blame on leaking pipelines. This is in a ruling this morning from a Dutch appeals court. Activists say that the ruling sets a landmark legal precedent that clears the way for Dutch-based companies to be sued for alleged negligence of their subsidiaries elsewhere in the world. The case centers on a charge from 4 farmers that Shell and its Nigerian unit are liable for damages caused by leaks from underground oil pipes from 2004 to 2007. Shell has argued that it has no liability in the case and that Dutch courts had no jurisdiction. The Dutch reaction was positive from the activist standpoint. Shell said it was disappointed. Shell said, "We believe that these allegations concerning Nigerian plaintiffs in a dispute with a Nigerian subsidiary of ours over issues which took place in Nigeria should be heard in Nigeria. Prime Minister David Cameron, after a long dinner in Brussels with EU leaders, said that he can see a pathway to a deal to keep Britain in the European Union. He said, "Nothing is certain in life nor in Brussels, but what I would say is that there is a pathway to a deal in February." This is in response to a long discussion he had with his peers about British demands to renegotiate the terms of its membership in the EU before a scheduled public referendum in the United Kingdom. Mr. Cameron said that if they want to keep Britain in, they have to address voters' concerns about curbing immigration into the UK. The European Council President Donald Tusk, who chaired the dinner, said he was more optimistic after the discussion that an accord could be reached on all four key British demands because Cameron was looking for, quote, a fair compromise. Tusk said that Europe's bid to deny EU migrants access to in-work benefits or income supplementation for the lower paid had caused the most difficulty, but he said that the message from Cameron was clear that nobody, including Cameron and the British, were ready to accept discrimination. Tusk said that this was key. Angela Merkel, who was present at the meeting, also agreed, but made it very clear that they're ready to compromise, but there must include non-discrimination and free movement for all. Well, if you're of a certain age, you probably can vaguely remember that at one point coal powered the British Empire. It employed armies of men beneath ground, and it shook the power of governments. Earlier today, workers at Britain's last operating deep coal mine finished their final shift, and the coal mine is scheduled to close. At its peak in the 1920s, Britain's mining industry employed more than 1 million men. With gas and nuclear power on the rise, hundreds of coal mines had closed by 1984 when a showdown between the industry and Margaret Thatcher fixed the industry's central place in Britain's national mythology. Thatcher won, the union gave in, 20,000 jobs were lost and 20 mines were closed. Since then, even though Britain still gets 20% of its electricity from coal, the rest comes from cleaner alternatives, that coal is mainly imported because it's cheaper. So, although Britain will have several open mines still in operation, as well as a couple of idle mines that could be reopened if needed, the last mine at Kellingley, about 200 miles north of London, was closed when the last shift came up to the ground. That's the news for today. Have a good weekend. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you on Monday.